Did you know that Patrick Swayze was so committed to authenticity in Point Break that he refused to use a stunt double even for the most dangerous surfing scenes? That dedication is part of what made that original movie such an enduring classic. It wasn't just about high-stakes action, it had heart, chemistry, and a raw energy that set it apart. Fast forward to 2015 and we get a remake that tries to capture the same extreme adrenaline rush but loses everything that made the original work. It's visually ambitious, sure, but narratively, it wipes out before it even catches the wave. Before we slide down this mountain of a movie flop, a real quick ask that if you're new to the channel or haven't subscribed yet, please take a second to hit that subscribe button now. It's one small click for you, but a huge deal for us. Now, let's see what went so wrong with Point Break 2015. Reason number 1. The idea doesn't add up. One of the first and most glaring issues with Point Break 2015 is its baffling premise. Instead of bank-robbing surfers chasing the ultimate rush, the remake gives us the Ozaki 8, a group of extreme sports daredevils who justify their crimes as giving back to the earth. It's a concept that could have added depth, but instead it's as flimsy as a surfboard in a tsunami. The film throws around vague philosophy without ever committing to a real message, leaving us with a hollow premise that feels more like an excuse for action sequences than any meaningful narrative. Characters spout catchphrases about giving back without ever justifying their actions or delving into the deeper motivations behind their high-risk lifestyle. This lack of substance has left viewers wondering whether they're watching an overproduced advert for adrenaline junkies or a bona fide crime thriller with heart. Moreover, the narrative never explains why these extreme sports, surfing, base jumping, snowboarding, and even wingsuiting, are supposed to be part of an elaborate plan. Instead, we're treated to a series of disconnected action set pieces that rarely add up to anything coherent. Reason number 2. The heroes are just avoidable shadows. Another major misfire of the 2015 remake lies in its unengaging characters. The original Point Break boasted a magnetic chemistry between its leads, Keanu Reeves as the square-jacked FBI agent and Patrick Swayze as the free-spirited philosophical bank robber, whose conflicting worldviews create an enduring cinematic bromance. In the remake, however, the characters come off as generic and uninspired. Johnny Utah, reimagined as an extreme sports YouTube sensation who somehow ends up in the FBI, is portrayed by an actor whose performance is as flat as the plot. His motivations are vague and underdeveloped. His transition from adrenaline junkie to law enforcer is so poorly explained that you're left questioning whether he's ever invested in his own story. Meanwhile, the new version of Bodhi is reduced to a one-dimensional pseudo-philosopher whose extreme sports stunts feel more like set pieces than culmination of a deeper ideology. The supposed conflict between these two characters is so watered down that it never sparks the kind of tension or camaraderie that made the original compelling. Even the supporting cast fails to shine. The romantic subplot intended to offer a counterbalance to the high-octane action is clumsily executed, with shallow dialogue and a forced chemistry that never quite materializes. The relationships between the characters are so superficial that they don't allow us to invest emotionally in their fates, making every stunt and action sequence feel like empty spectacle. Reason number 3. Rushed plotting and off-balance pacing. The film suffers from a disjointed narrative that struggles under the weight of its own ambitions. From the jump, the screenplay is littered with plot holes and contrived setups. The extreme sports challenges and heist sequences are introduced in a haphazard fashion that leaves you wondering how everything is supposed to connect. Instead of a well-structured, slow-burn narrative that builds suspense and stakes, the film leaps from over-the-top stunt to the next, sacrificing any semblance of coherent storytelling. There's no steady narrative arc. Each scene feels isolated, like a collection of loosely related vignettes rather than parts of a unified whole. The original Point Break balanced its action with moments of introspection, letting us sit with the tension before diving into another adrenaline rush. The remake, on the other hand, never finds that rhythm. It's either dumping exposition in sluggish dialogue scenes or racing from one extreme stunt to the next without letting anybody breathe. Instead of a steady build-up, we get a film that's either dragging its feet or tripping over them. Reason number 4. The misguided giving back angle. One of the more baffling choices in Point Break 2015 is its misplaced attempt to imbue the film with a pseudo-spiritual message about giving back to the earth. In theory, the idea of extreme sports enthusiasts using their adrenaline-fueled heists as a form of environmental activism sounds intriguing. In practice, however, it falls utterly flat. The film's characters claim that their daring exploits are meant to restore balance to nature or make amends for societal ills, yet these lofty ideals are never convincingly integrated into the narrative. Instead of developing a coherent, meaningful commentary on environmentalism or the counterculture's relationship with nature, the movie's giving back angle comes off as a shallow, gimmicky afterthought. The extreme sports challenges, whether it's surfing, base jumping, or snowboarding, are presented as ends in themselves, with little to no exploration as to how these stunts somehow contribute to a larger, more noble cause. Moreover, the characters' motivations in this regard are equally unconvincing. Why would a group of adrenaline junkies risk everything, not for personal gain, but to right the wrongs of the world? The film never provides a satisfying explanation, leaving the audience with the nagging feeling that this entire angle was inserted solely to differentiate the remake from the original, rather than to serve the story in any meaningful way. Reason number 5. Stunts over substance. While Point Break 2015 boasts some undeniably impressive stunt work and cutting-edge cinematography, its over-edited action sequences ultimately work against the film. The film is packed with extreme sports set pieces, from wingsuited leaps to high-altitude base jumps, that are meant to mirror the adrenaline-pumping energy of the original. Yet rather than showcasing the raw, unbridled intensity of each stunt, the rapid cuts and over-processed editing leave viewers disoriented and disconnected. The remake certainly delivers on spectacle, but at what cost? The rapid-fire editing turns every stunt into a blur of movement, robbing them of impact instead of letting us feel the danger and exhilaration. The film bombards us with quick cuts that make it even harder to register what's happening. In a movie built around extreme sports, that's a pretty big problem. Reason number 6. Missed character moments. One of the core strengths of the original Point Break was its electrifying character dynamic. In the 1991 classic, this relationship was the emotional engine that drove the film, creating moments of tension, camaraderie, and existential conflict that resonated long after the credits rolled. Unfortunately, the 2015 remake drops the ball here, leaving its characters shallow and unrelatable. The protagonist's transformation from a reserved, even mundane ex-FBI agent to an extreme sports aficionado lacks the emotional depth and gradual evolution that made the original compelling. Instead of engaging us with a believable internal struggle, the film offers a series of disjointed, poorly motivated set pieces. The character's personal journey is related to vague moments of self-reflection that never quite culminate in a satisfying arc. We're not given the backstory, the internal conflicts, or the moments of vulnerability that would make us truly care about him. Likewise, the new version of Bodhi, intended to be the charismatic, almost mythical leader of the extreme sports gang, ended up as a flat caricature. Rather than exuding the magnetic, dangerous charm of Swayze's iconic performance, the character feels like a hastily assembled plot device, lacking the nuance and complexity required to stand toe-to-toe with the original. The supposed tension between the two leads is so underdeveloped that their relationship feels forced and devoid of genuine conflict. Even the supporting cast fails to make an impact. The film introduces a few additional characters in an attempt to flesh out the narrative, but they come off as little more than background extras in a story that desperately needed heart. The lack of meaningful dialogue, combined with an over-reliance on visual stunts, means that there's little room for character development or genuine emotional connection. Reason number 7. Unnecessary rehashing. Perhaps the most disappointing aspect of Point Break 2015 is that it feels like a needless rehash of the original. The filmmakers clearly wanted to honor the original, and in doing so, they end up repeating its formula without any meaningful evolution. From the archetypal undercover agent to the enigmatic leader of a criminal gang, every character seems to be a carbon copy of their 1991 counterpart, only with updated extreme sports credentials. This lazy replication not only stifles creativity, but also makes the film feel redundant, as if the filmmakers were more interested in capitalizing on nostalgia than in crafting a story with its own identity. In attempting to pay homage to the original, the film falls into the trap of over-referencing. There are countless nods to the 1991 version, from similar dialogue exchanges to near-identical action sequences, but these references are so superficial that they do little to build a new narrative. Instead, they serve as constant reminders that nothing truly original is happening on screen. Rather than reimagining the concept for a new generation, the remake becomes a glorified update that offers nothing more than a dated checklist of cliches. From its misguided premise and flat characterization to its rushed plotting, over-edited action, missed character moments, and unnecessary rehashing, the film stumbles on nearly every front. While there are flashes of technical brilliance, some impressive stunts, and slick cinematography, the overall experience is marred by a lack of substance and heart. What should have been a thrilling, adrenaline-pumping adventure instead feels like a shallow exercise in style over substance. The film's attempt to update the extreme sports-laden chaos of the original ends up diluting the emotional core and leaving viewers with more questions than thrills. But hey, that's just our opinion. What do you think? Was there anything in this version that worked for you, or was it doomed from the start? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoy these deep dives into Hollywood's biggest missteps, make sure to subscribe because there's plenty more where this came from. This video is made by movie fans, for movie fans.